All right. So what should we do next? So we have uh, let's experiment something more, right? We have a triangle. Obviously, we have a triangle here, but let us put that down here. But it draws a triangle of only one fixed size. I want to draw a triangle which is of this size, and I also want to draw possibly a triangle a smaller size than this, also a bigger triangle. How do I go about doing it? Right, one way to do that is obviously create a duplicate of this triangle here and increase the value of moment. That is also possible. I may, let us try that, right? Maybe a bigger triangle, right? We do a bigger triangle and then we duplicate whatever we have here over here, and we make this 150 angle remains the same, 150. And if we say a bigger triangle, we get a bigger triangle, right? But now we also want a smaller triangle. How we go about doing that? We create another block. That's obviously one way, but that's a lot of work, right? So maybe what if we tell our triangle block the value that it needs to move by? It's like giving it an input, right? It's like a switch. We enter a particular input. It's like, we turn on the fan and we want to change its speed. So what we do, we give it an input. We'll turn the knob, and instead of fitting different regulators at all the points, we'll use the same regulator, but we'll give it an input. We'll say change the speed to 1, change the speed to 2, etc. So what if you could say the same thing about triangle, right? Triangle of 100 steps, triangle of 150 steps. What if you could give that input to the block? So let us try doing that. Let us remove this extra block that we wrote, and let us edit the block that we already have, and let's give it an input, and we'll call it a size as the input. And all we need to do now is, instead of the explicit steps that are given here as 100, 100, 100, we use the size there. Right, like this. And here now we can specify a triangle of 100. We give the value of the size here, and it does that. If I change this to 150, I get a bigger triangle. If I do it to 50, I get a smaller triangle. So let's try that. Let me duplicate this, and I'll call it at 100. Let me duplicate this. I call it 150. And there you go. I have like 3 different triangles drawn one after the other, and it's working completely fine. As you can see, it's just drawn that for me. Right. Before we move ahead, obviously apart from triangles, let's probably quickly also do it for the square. It's also equally possible. How should we do that now? Again, let us go here. Let's say edit, and let's give it a size. Right, what should we do next? Instead of move 100, we use the value of a size everywhere, like this. And whenever we use a square, the same thing happens, right? So let us say duplicate. I'll say the first square is of size 50, the second square is of size 100, the third square is of size 150, and it should draw me those 3 squares, exactly like what we did with the triangle. Right, this was great. Let's actually quickly draw a rectangle as well. How do we go about drawing a rectangle? Right, rectangle has 2 sides, right? Like length and a or width and a height. So let us try drawing one. In order to do that, let us say we create a rectangle block, rectangle, and rectangle takes two inputs because they both are different. We'll say width and we'll say height, right? And let us quickly define that here. And what we will say is, just like these steps that we have over here, let us actually duplicate these steps and bring it here because they are especially same, just that certain values would change. So let us get rid of these values from that we got from square. We don't need them because there is just no one size parameter. So we first move by width, then we move by height, then we move by width, and then we move by height. Right? So let us see what happens now if we use this similar example here. So let us say rectangle, and let us say 100, and height is 20. Yep, you saw that, right? So let us say 200 here. Exactly as you must have seen. Right? This is exactly what we got. Let us call rectangle again, but this time let's do the opposite thing. Let us say the width is 20, but the height is 200. This is what we get. All right. So we can sort of do various shapes given what we have, and sort of experiment with it. So we have our basic blocks here, that shapes created. We have a rectangle, we have a triangle, we have a square, and we can do a lot of things using these shapes, right? We can draw a lot of different shapes using it. We'll explore more of this